before answering the detailed questions, I want to distinguish between two different things. This is a very healthy debate, but we are expressing our opinions on policies, and this is a different topic. It's important to express your opinion, but this is off topic. We want to focus more on transparency because we can have other chances to discuss our own opinions. Yes, you can consider a policy fruitful or harmful. This is something. But data availability or availability of data quality is different thing. And it's important. You can form your own opinions. And that opinions might be different. That's healthy. But most of what said today is off topic or more of a general nature, referring to certain prejudice or biases, and that's okay. We are different. But the question is that necessary? Is that better? We can open discussions on that. But today we are making data available. That's my point. So that is my first general comment, because I will not be answering all the questions. So please know that that's why I will not answer general questions. I will stick to transparency or data availability. It's the first time for the members of the parliament to sit with the minister deputy. Second comment is that many comments revolves around the information released at the beginning of the year. Yes, and then compare it to the end year report. That's okay. But my takeaway is that the data is available. So this parameter is met. But some people said that the central government controls more than the local government. This is an opinion on the way we manage the country or the way we restructure the budget. This is okay. But all the governorates get money on health and education according to the number of the population. Yet you have the right to say that this is unfair distribution. That's okay. You have the right to disagree. That's okay. But everything is available. Please visit our website and review all the data on subsidy and the historical development of this. But each document has its own role. You cannot find everything in one document. Each document contains a certain amount of data, and each document has its own focus, but I cannot make all the data available in all the documents. This contradicts transparency and accuracy. So you cannot just read one document and ask me that you cannot find a certain figure. We are issuing this year's revenues and this year spending. This is the objective of the document. If you want to review the historical development of certain budget line, then please, you need to read another document. But I agree, not everything is available on Excel sheets. That's the situation right now, and we will work on that. And it took us really long time to convince people of this, but we are working on that. And we are having now an interactive website. You can find all the data available in Excel sheets. I'm not disagreeing with you, but I just want to give you an example. If you please ask the speaker to hold the mic a little bit closer for me to follow, sorry. So when it comes to petroleum products, for example, and the petroleum price change, Let me explain. How do we set a budget? We need to have unified rules because we negotiate with 500 bodies. You tell them the general assumptions. As the Ministry of Finance, I have my own needs and my own resources. I have two requests, this debt and this deficit, because this is directly linked to my own work. Of course, we are jointly responsible for everything, but these are my two focus areas. The same way the Ministry of Housing has certain focus areas. We are responsible for reducing the deficit and for managing the debt service. That's why we set general assumptions according to which we design the budget. We work till January or February. And then we go to talk to the cabinet, and we have internal committees in the cabinet to discuss all the relevant matters, and then we discuss it to the prime minister, we submit it to the president, and then the president sends it to the parliament by the end of March. And we usually send it by the end of March. Maybe internal things happen in the parliament, and we need to manage time better. But we are committed to the timings enshrined in the constitution. You should have this by the end of March. I'm sorry, when members of the audience speaks, I cannot get to hear since they do not hold the mic. Sorry. If that happened, then this is a mistake. If things are delayed, then this is a mistake. But we have a guarantee because there is a certain timeline to follow. My point is, when we design the budget, we have a number of assumptions. And we can modify these in January. So when we set the price, that was the highest price in all the fiscal forecasts. But we knew that there are a number of risks. It's probability. It might happen. And we do not have mitigation mechanisms like hedging, among other mechanisms. But at that time, that was not the case. I will get to your point later, but this is off topic. We can discuss it over coffee later. You have a point, but this is not the focus of today. And this needs people with technical expertise, so I'll discuss with you these matters later. Please, I'll go back to my main point. I'll just set an example for you now. One of the ways to ensure protection is to build the new budget on last year's consumption. We knew that the consumption is less because of the rationalization, and also because the products are of higher value and higher prices, so the consumption is less. So the bottle of water is more expensive than the oil or the petrol liter. So the consumption is less by 5 or 6%. So we built the current budget based on the consumption of last year. So this is a mechanism to protect us, and that happened. What is subsidy? Okay, very simply put. You need to take into consideration the consumption and the cost. And this has to do with your share, the importation price. And of course, when you import less, the cost will be less. And if you import large quantities, the cost will be higher. And vice versa. But we are limited. And because we respect our citizens, we started last year in the financial statement, we had a chapter on financial risks, including the ever-changing prices. And I feel really happy when someone expresses a risk that is accurate, because you are helping us evaluate the issue. So today, we have this written in the document, taking into consideration all the exchange rate, all the prices of the oil barrels. So this data is available in this document in order for you to know what is expected. And if this happens, we have mitigation mechanisms. And this was not the case before. This is newly introduced to have a chapter on financial and fiscal risks, and we are developing this. We are becoming better able to read data and to make data available. This is not the best thing ever, but it's one step on the road. I'm sorry, Miss Abla is not holding a mic. When you tell us that if this number is set or it changed, other numbers will change. Okay, but what are we going to do if the numbers change? That is the point. What if, of course, is included in all the documents to take into consideration the results, but dealing with changes is a different topic. This is not our topic today. The topic today has to do with the availability of the data. This is new. We introduced new pieces of information available and accessible to everyone. And I don't want to take much time because you raised many different topics today. Someone said about the contingent liabilities, which is really critical. We work according to a monetary scheme, and the chapterization in our budget is international. Let me tell you so. And yes, people in the street might not understand the chapterization or the titles or the terminology there. I understand and I agree with you. We can explain or clarify the headings, but this is not a haphazard classification, or this is not deliberately to make people lost while reading. So, no, this is not the case. Yes, sometimes things are literally translated from international templates. But we will deal with that. We will simplify the headings. My point is that we did not design it to make you lost. We are aware of your needs to simplify the language, and we will take that into consideration. But this is not haphazardly labeled. This is not the way we work. The GFS is an item. And maybe the names are a bit strange because it's literally translated. I understand that. So we can add some footnotes that this item includes blah, blah, blah. As for contingent liabilities, which are critical and relevant to our topic today, we need to develop more our capacities on that part. We work on a monetary fiscal and not on accrual basis. We do not have a budget. I focus on the cash flows more than assets and liabilities system. And we need to expand when it comes to financial risks. We have part or chapter on that. But we need to analyze the contingent liabilities, which is not directly related to the budget, but to forecasting certain risks. Then if things happen, we need to intervene, whether we like it or not, to help mitigate that. We should be careful and cautious in dealing with that item. And last year, it was the first year ever to have a part on contingent liabilities, explaining the meaning of the concept and adding numbers and figures. That was a leap, and it was not easy to make. We exerted much effort to include this data, whether internally or externally, and we formed a team in a specialized unit to follow up on that. And the guarantees amount was reduced, and we asked the help of the IMF in that, and they helped us a lot. So now we have a new system to calculate guarantees and issue guarantees, and to review or follow up on that. Of course, this is important. That's why you need to be cautious when you discuss matters relevant to that. It's the first time to issue guarantees and contingent liabilities for the public. And we will add more data. We will make more data available, because we want you to be able to evaluate that. Of course, you have your own personal preference and personal bias, but I cannot cater for your own opinions. But what I can promise is that your decisions will be informed on accurate and updated data. So we shouldn't argue over the data. We should argue over maybe the interpretation of the data. But you should have correct, accurate, updated data. Otherwise, we are wasting our time in a debate that will not take us further. We cannot argue over, is that 2 or 3? No, we need to bridge that gap and then move. How can we spend these $3, for example? And this is a work in progress. In my own point of view, the main takeaway today is that we should work together on mid-term review. This is the most important document. We will issue that in Feb. In February, we have enough data covering the first 6 months of the year. In this document, we review the budget with the original assumptions. This is what we expected. This is the targets. This is the numbers. And in light of the actual implementation and the ever-emerging changes, and of course we explain all the achievements we made, this is our perception of the end-year report. So that would be more accurate by 60%, for example, because we tested the assumptions and we built our capacities during implementation of the budget. This gives you an idea of the end report, and we can capture many lessons to apply in the coming year's budget. This also gives you an idea of the way we dealt with the matters. The audience does not hold the mic, so it's really hard for translator to follow. Again, my point is, if you come to us to express your needs, then we still have time. Also, your capacity to analyze the budget will be better, because you are not comparing it to last year's budget. You are comparing it to this year's budget issued 6 months ago. So we need to focus on this mid-term review, and we promise to issue this really early, in early Feb. So I can promise you that we will organize other meetings, and you have to be there, Ahmed, and I will be there myself. You told us that you will focus on transparency. Yes, Citizens Guide is not well promoted. Not everyone knows of this budget, and we need another version for the Parliament. So this is the first thing I need to highlight. this midterm report should have KPIs to measure what is achieved. Otherwise, I'm sorry, it's fruitless. We need to go item by item to evaluate the planned versus the achieved. And also, Mr. Ihab raised a point. The program and performance budget seemed hopeless for me. An item is allocated 100, but we do not have enough to cover 100, so the number is reduced to 60. But I cannot evaluate how accurate is that decision. And this is directly relevant to transparency. I'm sorry, I have to say whatever the guy is saying is not very accurate. It's okay. We will organize other sessions due to time constraints, because we do not want the guests to leave before the official closure of the meeting. They are not holding the mic. Again, final thanks to everyone, and I believe that this is really useful, and we will organize similar meetings without media professional person. Thank you so much for our dear guests. We appreciate your efforts and your time.